You light up their streets. You build walls to protect them. You call yourself a hero. But look at your technical farms. You aren't playing a survival game anymore. You are running an industrial-scale, psychological torture facility. Welcome to MineByte, where we don't just play the game, we look closer. Today, we are diving into the core logic behind Minecraft's 5 most iconic and ruthless machines. We are going to expose the hidden AI algorithms, the exact spawning spheres, and how technical players mathematically exploit the game's architecture for infinite resources. By the end of this video, you will realize that the true monster in Minecraft isn't the warden, it's you. Machine number 1, the Iron Farm. An iron golem doesn't spawn by magic. It is triggered by specific conditions in the game's matrix. You could do it the peaceful way. Gather 5 villagers, let them sleep, gather, and gossip. If their artificial intelligence decides they need protection, a golem naturally appears. But peace is slow. To achieve industrial efficiency, technical players use a different trigger, the panic state. For this matrix to work, you need a core of at least 3 villagers. They share a strict biological restriction. They must have successfully slept recently to validate their presence. Then, you introduce the trigger, a zombie. The game constantly checks whether the zombie has a clear line of sight to the villagers. If that connection is unbroken, the panic timer activates, and they summon a golem. But if you leave the zombie there permanently, the farm breaks. Why? Sleep deprivation. If the villagers are constantly terrified, they never sleep. Without that rest, the system temporarily disables their ability to summon a protector. To guarantee the cycle never breaks, technical builders engineer a visual breaker. Sometimes it's an active redstone piston. Other times, it's just passive geometry, a precisely placed wall. When a terrified villager touches their bed, their hitbox shrinks. For a split second, they drop below the wall, breaking the zombie's line of sight. You are giving them a fraction of a second of false hope, just enough time to touch their bed, validate the system, and immediately start the terror all over again. Once the panic state peaks, the game searches a predefined spawning volume around the villagers. The moment it finds a valid coordinate, the golem materializes. But it cannot stay. The algorithm dictates a strict cooldown. If the villagers detect a golem within a 16-block radius, they will not summon another one for 30 seconds. So, the matrix must be purged. The golem is instantly pushed by flowing water into a lava blade, erasing its presence, bypassing the cooldown, and keeping the cycle of terror unbroken. Every single iron ingot in your chest is a byproduct of mathematical fear. Machine number 2, the raid farm. How do you force an entire illager army to spawn directly into a 1-by-1 kill chamber? You manipulate the code's definition of reality. In Minecraft, a village isn't made of houses, paths, or bells. To the underlying matrix, a village is simply defined as a single villager, algorithmically linked to a point of interest, a bed. When you consume an ominous bottle in the 1.21 update, you get the bad omen effect. Approaching a village converts this to a raid omen, triggering waves of enemies in a specific radius around the village center. But technical players don't just defend one village, they stack them. They don't do this by breaking and placing beds. Instead, they exploit the game's spatial mathematics. By precisely spacing multiple villager pods along the y-axis, they create distinct, overlapping village boundaries. They are tricking the system into perceiving a single column of air as a dense metropolis, running multiple raid algorithms back to back. When the raid triggers, the engine seeks a valid surface, prioritizing the highest solid blocks in the chunk's height map. So, builders intentionally construct only one valid spawning platform high in the sky, covered in flowing water. We are stripping away the AI's choices, forcing an elite invasion directly into a singular death trap, turning a chaotic war into an automated assembly line. Machine number 3, the gold farm and the hate spread. To get infinite gold, you don't fight. You exploit a hidden distress algorithm. You just shoot a single arrow into a lone zombified piglin. Instantly, the Matrix reacts. It doesn't just make that one piglin angry. It broadcasts a distress signal across a massive invisible bounding box, roughly 74 by 22 by 74 blocks, forcing every other piglin to update their AI state to hostile. We manipulate their unity to lead them directly to their death. As long as visual contact is maintained, this loop of hatred never stops. But we don't use swords to kill them. We weaponize the engine's physical limit. When more than 24 entities occupy the exact same 1-by-1 coordinate, the game triggers a fail-safe called max entity cramming. This is how the system protects your hardware from crashing. We turn the game's own defense mechanism into a hydraulic press. Hundreds of piglins fall down into a single hole, violently crushing each other, because the space is too tight. And here is the darkest loophole in the code, one so broken that the Matrix finally patched it in version 1.2.1.5. Normally, entities crushed by the environment do not drop rare loot or experience, but for years, zombified piglins were the exception. If they died while locked in an aggressive state toward you, the system still credited you with the kill. For those running versions up to 1.2.1.4. The gold didn't drop because you struck the final blow. It dropped simply because they died, hating you. Machine number 4, the mob switch. This isn't a farm that creates items. It is a machine that plays God. Have you ever wondered how players make their entire overworld completely safe at night? With zero creepers or zombies spawning anywhere, they exploit the global mob cap. The game is programmed to only allow exactly 70 hostile mobs to exist per player at any given time. If the server counts 70 monsters in the loaded chunks, the spawning algorithm completely shuts down. Normally, mobs despawn when you walk away. To bypass this, you might think of using name tags or forcing zombies to hold items. But the Matrix is smart. Doing that applies a hidden tag called Persistence Required, which explicitly removes them from the mob cap calculation. The game will just spawn more. To truly break the system, technical players have to transport specific anomalies across dimensions, like shulkers from the end cities, or trapped withers. These unique entities are hard-coded to never despawn naturally, yet they still count towards the global cap. By cramming 70 of these interdimensional glitches into lazy chunks, areas where the game counts their presence but refuses to process their AI, the global mob cap is permanently maxed out. You can walk through a dark forest at midnight and nothing will spawn. You haven't just cleared the monsters. You have effectively lobotomized the game's hostile spawning algorithm. Finally, machine number 5, the Wither Trap. The Wither is designed to be the ultimate destructive boss. When summoned, its initial birth explosion destroys almost every block in the game. But technical players don't fight the Wither. They imprison it, using the unbreakable architecture of the End Dimension. Beneath the End Return portal, there is a specific formation of Bedrock. The trick relies on directional spawning. When you place the Soul Sand and Wither skulls, the game dictates exactly where the Wither's hitbox will materialize. By building the summoning structure horizontally under the bedrock frame, the Wither spawns with its head permanently clipped inside the unbreakable blocks. It tries to move. It tries to explode. But it is instantly trapped. And here is the true cruelty of the Matrix. Bedrock is one of the few materials the Wither cannot destroy. Trapped, unable to clear space around itself, it starts slowly suffocating on the very blocks meant to contain gods. This is normally how players execute the boss for a nether star with zero risk. But technical builders exploit this slow death. They place a continuous chicken farm nearby. Before the Wither finally suffocates, its secondary projectiles kill the birds, automatically generating thousands of Wither roses. You take a god of destruction and turn its execution into a helpless flower generator, a literal engine of death, forced to garden for you before it falls. The Minecraft technical community doesn't just play the game, they deconstruct the Matrix. Which of these code-breaking machines is the most unethical? Tell me your theory in the comments. Stick around for more secrets. And as always, keep looking closer.